If you're looking at the bigger picture, sometimes more wealth can get you a better place to live. So there's better sanitary
Right.
conditions, there's cleaner water, there's quicker, easier access to healthcare, quicker and faster. You see that commercial, it's gotta go, gotta go, gotta go. Well, that is a neurological imbalance in the bladder, which oftentimes can be handled with a couple things. Number one is Kegel exercises. Number two is get your hormones checked and get your hormones balanced.
That jurisdiction of the sheriff is really the most powerful guard and protector of the rights of the people than any other institution our founders created here.
Health and wealth, how do they relate?
Well, a lot of people think that, if you have more wealth, you can actually have better health or better health care. And I suppose on that note, you could probably afford better health care, but my question marks go up and yours probably would too. What is health care and is there such a thing? So I'm not really sure that wealth can buy better health. I think it has better, perhaps, opportunities that are related to maybe more health.
Well, if you're looking at the bigger picture, sometimes more wealth can get you a better place to live. So there's better sanitary conditions, there's cleaner water, there's quicker, easier access to healthcare, quicker and faster than somebody who's living in a lower socioeconomic type of lifestyle. Now, we do know that when it comes to health, we have kind of debunked the fact that it takes a lot of money to live healthy.
Right. Well, and sometimes having more wealth can create a whole bunch of stress, that actually can cause your health to go in the reverse manner. We've seen a lot of people that are very, very wealthy as far as the world standards might be, but they struggle with health because that's all they're focused on is their wealth. So there is a balance there that we're trying to find, and I'm all about people having enough provision to do what they want, but I don't see that, just a straight up thing that having more worldly wealth is straight up equivalent with worldly health. There's so many variables that you've just mentioned, a few of them.
Well, we know that in order to change the totality of the situation, at the base, it's going to be education. And education has to come for not just the wealthy, but the ones that live in rural communities, may have less access to health care. We need to be educating people on what it means to live a healthy lifestyle.
We do. And I think, we were talking earlier today about the idea of social media and the connectivity that we have. That's a great technology, and it can communicate really across the world in just a blink, which is crazy. We should be using that platform to create better health and better ways to live healthier and not just really focus totally on wealth. I have watched many people in my life that so focus on wealth, their whole life says something like this: I'm going to pursue wealth, and when I get this amount, I'm going to stop and slow down and enjoy my life. Well, guess what happens? They never stop because that pursuit of wealth can become addictive.
Stress.
Yeah, it creates more. And so we've got to find balance in that. I think, as you said to me many times, that wealth or provision sort of follows truth. Well, what is truth? Truth is living healthy in all ways, not just financially, but also physically, emotionally, spiritually, and even intellectually. So there's all kinds of variables there. And I get a little frustrated with people that write articles like that and say that, well, more wealth will do this, because it can give people the wrong idea. I mean, from a person that doesn't have much, they can throw their hands up and say, well, what's the use? I don't have anything.
Well, so at the baseline, what we can do for all people is we can educate them. And we've created something really great. It's called Kingdom Fuel.
Yeah.
And when people say, well, I can't afford to live healthy, I can't afford a healthy lifestyle, we kind of debunk that with talking about Kingdom Fuel. Can you kind of mention the
Yeah.
importance of what Kingdom Fuel is and how it can help somebody who may not have wealth?
Well, one of the greatest myths that we have today in our world is this idea that you have to have a lot of money to eat healthy. That's just simply not true.
The standard American lunch costs what?
Yeah, it's between like $16 and $20 typically. And that's just general. That's in the Midwest. You go somewhere west or east coast, you might pay more than that. I'm talking whether
a
it's
salad.
good or bad, but that's a salad and a piece of meat maybe on it. But
Well,
you look
dressing.
at Kingdom Fuel, we did that for one reason alone, to really give people an alternative of healthy food that was cheap or cheaper. And actually, you look at Kingdom Fuel, it has organic pea protein, it has vitamins and minerals, greens and reds, and of course a lot of good amount of fiber. And for a whole serving of that, which you can live on, right? Just mix it in water if you want to. You don't have to, but you can. 3 level scoops on that, went up to the little line in the scooper. That is the equivalent of $5 per meal. Most people use 2 scoops, so that's the equivalent of about $3.50 per meal. So there's really no excuse when you look at it like that. We take away that. Now, people still want to make excuses because you can get addicted to a place. Just like you can get addicted to the pursuit of wealth, you can get addicted to poverty. You can say you're impoverished because that's what you do, and that becomes your identity when it doesn't have to be. So in all cases, we've got to find the alternative to get out of anything that holds us back from the idea of true health.
Well, so we kind of debunked the fact. We know that wealth can get you better health care, get you in faster, quicker, easier, but education at the root is going to be the key. So there are many places where you can even go to our website and get education on how to live a healthy lifestyle, physically, emotionally, intellectually, and spiritually, how to get your hands on Kingdom Fuel, which nourishes the body in a complete and total way. And then people, secondarily, they can get more exercise, which makes a body fit. And once you're fit, that inflammatory level goes down and it helps you ward off sickness and disease better.
It doesn't cost you anything to go for a walk. Folks, listen, at least go for a walk and try to get one healthy meal a day. That's the true concept that we need to be really focused on. Not that we're against wealth. That's not the point. But if you are wealthy out there and people are listening right now and you struggle with health, maybe you should start putting some of that wealth towards your own health. And maybe you could even consider blessing someone else less fortunate with an opportunity for more health. So there's all kinds of ways that we can turn this around and make it better.
Yeah, so we know we can do better with our nutrition. It's called Kingdom Fuel. If you don't have any other resources or access, it's $5 a meal. We know we can go for a walk, we can move, we can get that Kingdom Fuel to our systems with moving, getting blood oxygen and nutrients to our tissues. And then anybody can pick up a good book on self-help ideas. We've got several books available that help people walk down a healing journey.
So wealth can sometimes equate to health, but not all the time. It just gives you other opportunities. But we just encourage you to value the real wealth, which is actually your health.
Discover the definition of what nocturia is. We'll explain what waking up to peace several times a night might mean.
And when you navigate through these economies with people, here's what happens. We want to hold their hand through it, let them know when it's time to buy, sell, reallocate, get out of Dodge. Because a lot of times when you're struck with fear does 2 things. Number one, it can paralyze, and people just put their head in the sand and say, I'm just going to forget about it and hopefully it gets better. Or it causes you to make a wrong decision. And this is why we are here, is to help people navigate through the political quagmire nonsense that's going on, the economic malaise and the absolute collapse that we're seeing. And when our freedoms are eroding, our political freedoms, our economic freedoms, our personal freedoms, our religious freedoms, our health freedoms, they're all tied together. But you know what doesn't need to erode with that? Our finances.
KirkElliottPhD.com/Sherwood.
Exploring biohacking, bioharmonizing, biosynergizing, stacking, resilience, or anti-fragility?
Start here. No gimmicks, just proven results.
Hey there, Kevin Sorbo here. Now, deep down, we know this. We're more than just a brain and a body. We're a spirit, we're a soul, and we're also a physical temple. If you hit the wall when you're trying to improve one aspect of your being, it's probably because, well, other aspects are sabotaging our success. So that's why diets don't work. And frankly, why so much conventional wisdom from our so-called medical establishments falls flat. Doctors Michele and Mark Sherwood have a very different approach. I should know because I happen to be one of their patients. They address the whole person to get to know you, your challenges, and more importantly, what your goals are. Then they offer a complete plan that addresses your unique biology and your heart. They'll help you discover what you need to experience transformation. So find out more at sherwood.tv/Sorbo. That's sherwood.tv/Sorbo, or see the link before. Now, I'm heading for a workout. You should be going for a workout too. All right, guys. God bless.
Let's shine the spotlight on one of our star supplements.
The human body can make most of the types of fats it needs from other fats or raw materials, but not omega-3 fatty acids, also called omega-3 fats or N3 fats.
These are essential fats that the body must get from food.
Biomega 1000 provides a potent dose of omega-3 essential fatty acids sourced from a strategically placed fishing facility in the far South Pacific Ocean off the coast of Chile.
Each capsule delivers an impressive 1,000 milligrams of EPA and DHA, and the capsules also contain vitamin E. See the link below for a special offer, and remember, don't be fooled by cheap online knockoffs. Are you waking up to go to the restroom in the middle of the night? Many people ask us the question, how can I help this thing called nocturia, which means nighttime urination?
I got to go pee right now. No, I'm kidding. No, honestly, it's really funny. You know, a lot of people suffer from that. You know, they wake up multiple times a night. Now, I know there is a thought process that, well, I go back to sleep a lot. But bottom line is you don't want to be woken up to have to go urinate 7 or 8 times a night. And that's what we're talking about with nocturia. You know, there's some things that can contribute to that, though, of course.
Well, a lot of things can contribute to that. Number one is when hormones decline, the sphincter tone in the bladder declines. So the tone between the sympathetic and parasympathetic components of the bladder get out of balance. You know, you see the commercial, it's gotta go, gotta go, gotta go. Well, that is a neurological imbalance in the bladder, which oftentimes can be handled with a couple things. Number one is Kegel exercises. Number two is get your hormones checked and get your hormones balanced. And that stands for men and women alike. Yeah. Males oftentimes have an enlarging prostate as they get older. Therefore, they don't empty their bladder completely when they go to urinate. So Kegel exercises, again, can strengthen the bladder and strengthen the amount of urination that is excreted at the time of urination. People will say, well, you know, I've got to drink half my body weight in water in a day. Well, that's the old adage. What people don't understand is that's not your body weight. It should be your lean body weight. So it's important to have a body composition analysis done, and then take your lean body weight and divide that in half, and that's the ounces that you should focus on. Remembering also that you can only really absorb about 4 ounces every 15 minutes unless you're actively exercising. So waking up and jugging down that big, 8 ounces, 12 ounces of water so you can get it out of the way really doesn't help your body flush itself. It's better to sip all day long and then maybe start to decrease the amount of water that you're taking in around the hour of 6 o'clock at night so that your bladder is not still having to do the work when you're going down to sleep.
I've explained it like this to people, before as we age, things happen with our vasculature and our muscular system, So all that process you're talking about, the sphincter and being able to push that urine out of that bag, that it's holding there. So think about this, your bladder as a bag of waste products, liquid, and you have to contract to pull that out of there. As we age, the muscles lose strength, they lose power. And so what I believe happens as well is we're not able to pull it all out of there. So therefore, there's a little bit more in there than we normally would, leaving less space to fill up to have to go again. And so that's something good to understand. So the things you talked about are going to help that. I think too, if you got a swollen prostate, of course, you can take some prostate supplements, namely that would contain like ingredients like saw palmetto and nettles that could help shrink that prostate. Eating healthy, we've done segments before on anti-inflammatory diet. Sometimes the prostate gets swollen because it's inflamed or it's infected. That's not good. Sometimes it just swells up anyway, but we can keep that at bay by doing the right things. And then certainly when we talk about water, I mean, the right amount's important. As you get into the evening, probably start doing more sipping than chugging. That'd be a good tip.
Yes, like after the hour of 6 o'clock, begin the sip instead of the chug for sure.
Yeah, there's no reason to keep chugging it. Now, personally, I'll have a cup of water there by the bedside, and it's going to sound quirky, but even when I do have to get up to go urinate, I will have a drink, sip. I'll fill my mouth full before I go back to bed. I do that for the opposite reason. I'm not thinking about overhydration. I'm thinking about being underhydrated. I don't want to become dehydrated, because if you get up in the morning, the thing is what you should do. Then at that point in time, you should be drinking the whole glass, even before you start drinking your coffee, if you go down that pathway. So it's important, we got to make sure we're continuing to keep the water in there, because their body is 65, 70% water. So we need water. So don't fear that because it's caused you to have to go to the bathroom. But again, it's timing. And it's really maximizing the idea of that, because when you don't urinate, you're not able to eliminate toxins.
Also, if you get to a point where you're urinating 5-6 times a night, we have to think about other things. Is there an infection going on?
Yeah.
Is there an outlet obstruction going on? Do you have a polyp inside the bladder? So if the simple tips don't help you, it might be time to have a bigger workup done to make sure something is not looming that needs to be taken care of.
Well, and can't forget type 2 diabetes, right? That's a
That's
classic.
going to
right there.
create polyuria.
That's right. So if you're urinating a lot and you've never had your blood sugar tested or your insulin score tested, you probably need to do that. It's a big deal to make sure you're looking at the right things and just don't blame it on one thing.
That's right. Sugar is a diuretic. So if it's in the urine, water follows sugar because of its osmotic potential. So you're going to lose your water if your sugars are high.
Clear. And so, folks, here's the thing. Nocturia is something that may happen a little more frequently as we age. Got it. But it doesn't have to be something that affects your life or the quality of your sleep. So do these few things, analyze it correctly, treat it correctly, and understanding it's good, and then hopefully you'll enhance your good night's sleep. Hope that helps.
Let's get real. Most emergency food is just as bad for you as any other choice in the standard American diet. And that's just sad.
We don't just need food. We need highly nutritional food.
We don't just want to survive food shortages. We are meant to thrive in adversity.
Complete your daily nutrition and have shelf-stable Kingdom Fuel as a cornerstone of your food supply.
Don't sacrifice your health or your taste buds.
Stock up on Kingdom Fuel now.
And when you navigate through these economies with people, here's what happens. We want to hold their hand through it, let them know when it's time to buy, sell, reallocate, get out of Dodge. Because a lot of times when you're struck with fear does two things. Number one, it can paralyze, and people just put their head in the sand and say, I'm just going to forget about it and hopefully it gets better. Or it causes you to make a wrong decision. And this is why we are here, is to help people navigate through the political quagmire nonsense that's going on, the economic malaise, and the absolute collapse that we're seeing. And when our freedoms are eroding, our political freedoms, our economic freedoms, our personal freedoms, our religious freedoms, our health freedoms, they're all tied together. But you know what doesn't need to erode with that? Our finances.
KirkElliottPhD.com/Sherwood.
Let's shine the spotlight on one of our star supplements.
The human body can make most of the types of fats it needs from other fats or raw materials, but not omega-3 fatty acids, also called omega-3 fats or N3 fats.
These are essential fats that the body must get from food.
Biomega 1000 provides a potent dose of omega-3 essential fatty acids sourced from a strategically placed fishing facility in the far South Pacific Ocean off the coast of Chile.
Each capsule delivers an impressive 1,000 milligrams of EPA and DHA, and the capsules also contain vitamin E. See the link below for a special offer, and remember, don't be fooled by cheap online knockoffs.
We have a brand new documentary out called Non-Compliant to the Sheriff. Now, our first documentary, Non-Compliant, and our second documentary, Non-Compliant 2, are both available at noncompliantmovie.com. The first documentary is all about the duty and the role of the state to be a check and balance on the federal government, state and local government. So if you haven't seen that yet, let me please recommend that you go to noncompliantmovie.com and watch the first documentary, available to you at no cost. It is going to be life-changing, and we have hundreds of thousands of 5-star reviews and people all over the world sending us messages about how this message is so life-changing. And it's a global message because, really, it's about your inherent rights. It's about why government is designed for one purpose. The purpose is to secure your rights, and how our founders put together our governments in order to retain the power by the people to be a check and balance on government through state and local government. And from that, we were inspired to create Non-Compliant to the Sheriff. Now, I have been for, nearly a decade traveling around the country teaching sheriffs and deputies a 3-hour continuing education course all about the role and the duty of the sheriff, the history of the sheriff's role and duty to secure our rights, not to violate them. We have a whole section on the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, what our sheriffs and their deputies need to know not to be sued. And then we have a section on the jurisdiction of the sheriff, which is so incredibly important. That jurisdiction of the sheriff is really the most powerful guard and protector of the rights of the people than any other institution our founders created here in these United States of America through our constitutional republic. And it's from that course that I had sheriffs telling me, this is inspirational. What you've taught us in these 3 hours is just simply life-changing. As a matter of fact, I've taught this at big conferences where I taught the sheriffs of 17 states all at one time. And I had sheriffs coming up to me immediately before I even got off the stage saying, I've been on the phone changing policies already based on what we learned from you. And we thought to ourselves, you know what? We need the people to know this information. We need the people to know this, number one, so that they can make sure the candidates they have for sheriff know the proper role and duty of the sheriff, so we can be sure to have constitutionally minded sheriffs. Number two, because if you have a constitutional sheriff, if the body of the people are not in support of that sheriff cannot be who they want to be and who they're required to be. And number three, it empowers sheriffs who already have that inclination in a world that is full of propaganda like defund the police and all of our law enforcement is evil. You see it all over the news. You see wicked politicians propagating this stuff. We knew we had to create non-compliant to the sheriff to show people what's really happening at the level of the sheriff that the media will not show you. There are sheriffs all over America who are standing up in defiance of unconstitutional laws and orders and edicts, in defense of the property rights of the people, and they've been doing this for years. But the politicians and the media do not want you to know this. They do not want you to know what sheriffs are doing successfully, regularly, to stand for people's rights, because this is how government's supposed to really, really work. Now, what we do with non-compliant 2 is we take 2 real-life situations, 2 events that actually happened. A pastor who refused to shut down his church over COVID, and a sheriff who arrested him for it. And a pastor who refused to shut down for COVID, and a sheriff who said, I'll go to jail to keep you open. And how this 2 incidents actually impacted and changed their states, and even all of these United States, all boiled down to what a sheriff would or would not do. This film is brand new, available at noncompliantmovie.com only right now. Pretty soon we're going to make it available on DVD, so maybe by the time you see this, it will be available on DVD at noncompliantmovie.com. But we're already getting messages about how this is life-changing. And to be honest, if you share this with your sheriff might be one who has watched this movie and come back to us and asked us to come and train their deputies. Noncompliantmovie.com. It will be life-changing.